understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. Yep, yep. Hey, what's up? It's your boy Humble Dad, and got a in between type of show, if you will. It's not a actual show where I bring up all the guests and things of that nature. It's just me wanting to tell you all about how great a week I had for spring break, and hopefully it will encourage some people to keep moving and keep moving forward wherever they are, and that your wins only come as an execution of your consistency and your discipline. And so last week was my spring break. Many of you all know I'm an educator from the perspective of middle school as well as collegiate. And I'm also a real estate investor here in Dallas, Fort Worth area. And on my spring break, I was able to achieve several wins. And one of those wins was that I worked out pretty much regularly until I had to get on the road to go to Atlanta. And me working out, I've been doing that for quite some time, but I had got away from it for the past couple of weeks and I seen my body changing. And so I wanted to get back to that. And so one of the things that I do for working out is that I do pull ups, right? And my pull up machine had broken. And so for 2 weeks, I was out of work or working out. And so what I did was instead of making excuses, I went ahead and went to the gym and I made that a part of my priority for the day. And to tag along to that, one of the things that I do on a regular basis is I create an agenda. I create an agenda, and from that agenda, I may write down 10 to 12 things, depending on what I need to get done for that day. And I just check them off as I get them done. And that allows me to be productive. And the one thing that I make sure that I do is try to do, well, I'd say try to do on a regular basis is create an agenda so that I can be as productive as possible. So that was number one of the things that I did on my spring break, worked out. Then I was able to take the cars to be serviced. I had one car that was going to be taking the trip with us. Obviously, we were going to be using that particular vehicle. And so I got it cleaned out, got it oil changed, got the tires rotated. And to me, that was an accomplishment because it needed it. And I had been procrastinating on doing that, but I finally got that done. Then I took a second car that needed to be worked on and came to the realization when I took it out there that it was going to need about $3,000 of work. And man, your boy have it kind of sorted since I just closed on some deals I'm gonna talk about here shortly. But I did not want to spend that money. And I end up calling one of my best friends, Dwayne Jones. Y'all may know him. If you paid attention to the podcast, you definitely know him. And I talked to him about what was going on. And he said to me, let me know what it is that's needed specifically. So have them print out a receipt of all the things that are needed. I'm like, why would I do that? He said, bro, just do that. So end up doing that, sent it to him, and he got back to me and said he would do it for me. Now, my boy is not necessarily a mechanic, but he can work on a lot of different things, right? And when he told me that, I was flabbergasted because the amount of money that I was going to have to spend is something that I didn't want to do, obviously. But to know that I have a friend that can do it, and he did it on his off time. How crazy is that? And I got emotional about it because that is what friends are for. They are there to help you, encourage you, bless you in any type of way that they deem possible, as well as be that accountability partner to tell you yes or no. And Dwayne is the type of guys that is like when I tell him something going on in my life and I don't like what's going on, he tells me, good. I'm glad it's happening because now you have an opportunity to learn how to maneuver through it as well as get better because of it. And so when he did that act of service, that act of kindness, I was blown away and I appreciated him for that. and he was able to have the car back to us a couple of days after we came back from our trip to Atlanta. That was another blessing, another win that we had, or that I had, or we had as a family, being able to go on a 12-hour, 14-hour trip and get to Atlanta. And the reason why we went to Atlanta is because my partner, Des, who we've been friends maybe 17, 18 years or so. And what happened was is that he had and his wife were having a baby shower for their rainbow baby, and I was there just to support. And I was only there for a couple of hours, but I enjoyed my time there because it was such a big deal and a big celebration for them too to be able to have a baby that they had been trying for over 13 years. And so that was another win for me, as well as I got to hang out with Prototype while I was there. Him and his wife, lovely people, and Prototype is who he is on and off camera. So I appreciate that as well. Then as I was there, shout out to my wife Kendra, her sister, and her brother-in-law. They welcomed us to be able to stay at their home, and they were very hospitable. So that was another blessing because we didn't have to pay for any hotel costs. And then as because of that being the case, we were able to kind of maneuver in the way that we wanted to get in and out very quickly, and so that was appreciative as well. And my two sons got to hang out with their son, which they enjoy him immensely. Gianna didn't have to do any chores, which she loved, and Jordana, she was able to hang out with the little dog and still also hang out with Kendra's sister. So everybody had a wonderful time, and Kimber got to hang out and just chill and be around her family as well. So it was a really good time. We went out to eat a couple different times and just enjoyed being having the opportunity to have an actual break. And during the time that we was on break, that Thursday before we left, I ended up closing on a house here in Dallas, but it was out in Box Springs, and it was a 4-bedroom, 2 bath. Sold it for about 280,000. That process was probably about a 4 to 5 month process because at the beginning I was telling her that it's probably going to go for about 300,000, but she wanted to start high, which is fine. We started high, and then come to find out that people did not want a house that needed a little bit of work because of how the economy is working. And so we slowly transitioned to settling on $280,000 on that Thursday, or even prior weeks before that. It took about, I don't know, 5 weeks to close or so once we got the information. What an interesting process that one was. It was a VA loan, and that the person that got the house was very excited about being able to get a house that was so big because it's a 4-bedroom, 3 bath house, and it was about 3,400 square feet on a block of where houses were not as big as this one. So that person got a win. And then on that Friday, I was able to sell a second house, or close, not just sell, but close on a second house for my sellers out in Fort Worth. Now, this was a 4.2, uh, 4.2 and a half, and it was a 2-story, and it was located off of Highway 20, off of East Chase. And the other one, which I sold in Box Springs, was on the opposite end of 20, off of 20 and Beltline. So I had one on the east side of Dallas and on the west side of Dallas, both right on the long side of I-20 here in Dallas. And so that was God's way of showing me that He got me covered from end to end. That's what I saw. And that was very appreciative for him to allow the houses to sell on the days that we were going to be out of town, so that we would have resources to be able to be out of town. So that was dope. I was pretty excited about the week for sure. And the Fort Worth house had it was like a 2020, it was built in 2020, and they was ready to sell, and they needed to sell so that they can move forward to their next house. And that process was interesting because the lender ended up forgetting to, well, not forgetting, they put the wrong address on the information to send to the IRS. And so that took us another couple of weeks. And in that process, I had to communicate to the new well, the new house. I would say the people that were selling the new house, I had to talk to them about where the process was, because if not, then the sellers would not have been able to, or they would have been penalized because they were behind in paying for the new house. And so it was a lot of things going on. And that particular Friday was the last Friday or the last day that they needed the house to be closed before they was going to have to pay penalties for already putting a, or they would lose their down payment, um, assistance, if you will, on the new house. So it was a lot of things, a lot of moving parts that was going on that particular sale. And for anybody that's interested in being in the real estate process, whether that's selling, buying, or renting, let me know. I can educate you on different places to be, what type of house to look for, what are the ins and outs of the real estate process. And it's, if you just decide to go with me or any real estate agent, there are some things that you need to know to be aware of in the process. And so I'm willing to be that for you. But if not, I'm still interested in providing you information, because I want everybody to be a homeowner if it's their desire. And everybody needs some place to live. So even if you just need to rent a place as a landlord, or you need to rent as a renter, let me know and I can help you out. And that's anywhere in the state of Texas. But my main location here is in Dallas, Fort Worth. So my week was amazing. Got to hang out with my wife in Atlanta again. Obviously, we was there, but that was a part that really just was exciting to me. And that was when we got to play basketball together. It's like love and basketball, right? However, I was teaching her how to play basketball. She was listening and doing and practicing on her shot. And in the process, she got a workout in. So that was really dope. And I appreciate her for obliging me with that. So that week was simply amazing, you know. And then come to find out, I talked to Dwayne, and he's not on Facebook, but his wife is on Facebook, and I had put a picture up of the people that I had sold the house to, or sold their house in Fort Worth. And come to find out, the husband is works at the same place that Dwayne's wife works at. And Dwayne's wife knows Dre, which is incredible. So there's another opportunity for God to show himself. And I just give him all the glory and honor as a result of that. And then fast forward to this particular week, I had to go to a funeral and be there for some friends of ours. And shout out to Renee and Delvin. I know this, and then all the family members that are involved. This guy, he was a big deal in the city of Dallas, and big deal meaning that he was the first African American that was the chief police chief police officer in Dallas, starting in 1971. And the loss that was had taking place was big. Obviously, what I saw God telling me is that I need to make the most of my days, make as much impact on people inside my circle and on the outside of my circle. And one of the ways that I do that is talking to people online about marriage and relationships, being a leader at the church, having conversations with men about marriage, talking to my kids about being people that pursue Christ, loving my wife like Christ loved the church. And not only that, I was able to see how, even though I had a big loss in losing Jen, God never failed in protecting my heart, healing my heart, and providing me the opportunity to love again, which I will continue to talk about because it's amazing that he will allow me to do that or give me the strength and the ability to do such a thing. And so um, that is what it is. And I appreciate the time for you all to listen. Hopefully this video finds you doing well. And if not, hopefully it encourages you to keep moving forward. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.